Okay. I guess that was I have no mouth and I must scream. So I'm guessing that was probably a good ending, unless there was some way to save everyone. But yeah, I mean, I am putting all the people back on Earth and reviving the human species within 300 years, so that seems like decent. I mean, I don't know. Considering under the circumstances, I can't really imagine an outcome much better than that. So yeah. Well, what did I think of the game? Um, it was fine. Like, I don't know. Um, some of the concepts are sort of interesting, but I think they kind of ended up tripping over themselves in the end. Like, I I just I had a really hard time connecting with the five characters. I'll be honest. Some of it was the voice acting. The voice acting was not very good. Some of the writing was okay. Like I thought a lot of Am's monologues were actually fairly clever. Um, just I don't know in terms of coming to a place where Am absolutely hates humanity and hates everything that humanity has become and everything that humanity holds inside of it. I didn't really get. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I guess what it comes down to is that these characters are not supposed to be representative of the worst people, right? So like Am is torturing everyone, and it's not just the most base, most terrible human beings that Am seems as terrible. He seems to just think all people are suck. They're just all terrible. Because yeah, the only person in the whole thing that was really like, I guess Benny and the scientist, those two did really despicable things in life. Ellen, I didn't get. I mean, not no. Ellen was good, and Gorrister seemed like he was pretty good. Um, who am I missing? I feel like there's another one. Scientist, Gorrister, Benny, Ellen. Anyways, um, it is like 12:40, and I'm pretty tired. But yeah. So in terms of the story, like I don't know. I think I'd have to think about it a little bit more in terms of whether or not I thought it actually pulled out off successfully what it was trying to do in terms of the themes and communicating those in a clear way. But the game itself is pretty bad. I have to like if I'm being completely honest, like I guess the art direction was decent. It looked pretty good. There's definitely moments and descriptions in there that were legitimately pretty creepy, like the eyeballs at the end of the strings and or the eyeballs hanging out of the guy's sockets and then hanging into the jar. That was pretty repulsive for sure. But in terms of like why I didn't think the game as a game was very good, the puzzles were not. It wasn't interact. It didn't feel very successfully interactive. I think the thing that makes adventure games work as well as they sometimes do is that you figure out what your character goals are. What are you trying to accomplish as the character that you're playing? And then using the tools at your disposal, you do what you need to do in order to move the story forward. I mean, that's kind of like whether it's by solving puzzles or whether it's by interacting with people in a certain way, or whether it's just like finding the right objects to use and using them in a particular way to complete whatever it is you're trying to do in the game. Um, that's kind of the hallmark of what an adventure game is supposed to do. It's supposed to kind of make you an actor inside the story and make you somebody who is sort of proactively going after completing these tasks. There were a lot of parts in I Have No Mouth and I Don't Scream where I was just dicking around and I had no idea what I was supposed to be doing. I had no idea what the next step in the story was. And at many points, it really did just become sort of a pixel hunting quest. Like, there were several moments that I pointed out when I was playing the game where I was just moving the cursor around and I would find something within like this much space on the screen, and it was not visible, right? It was, I mean, the graphics are low res, which is fine, you know, they don't need to be high res by any means, but like, if you're working with those constraints, you better make sure that everything that you need to interact with on the screen is clearly visible, and that it's very clear what that thing is so that you can make any kind of logical connection for how you should use it. But the way that this game worked is you really had to rely on the description that appeared, you know, near the bottom, the scum engine. So if you're waving a verb around like use, you know, you might see like use shard of glass, and the shard of glass might be completely hidden and invisible to the screen. So yeah, I don't think that's particularly fun. It's just not fun. Like, it's a lot more interesting if I can sort of look at the screen, get the layout, understand what my interactables are, and then say, okay, I hit these things to move the game forward. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream did not make me feel that way at all. It more made me feel like, you know, where did they hide this damn thing that I need to use in order to get this game to go on to the next level, to go on to the next part. So yeah, I mean, I guess the story was interesting enough to prevent me from just throwing the whole thing out completely, but so many parts of it just were not successful. The voice acting was bad. The gameplay mechanics were pretty bad. So the music wasn't particularly good either. There was a lot of parts where it was just very, very repetitive and very grating. And I'm not just saying that because it's old, because there are a lot of retro game soundtracks that I really enjoy. It's not just that it was old. I think, yeah, I mean, I think the score in a lot of the old LucasArts games, as an example, are really good. The score in Grim Fandango is one of my all-time favorite scores of all time, and that was released like 3 years after this game. So I don't know. I don't think it really has an excuse to. I don't think I can necessarily excuse it for doing some things as poorly as it did. The other thing that really bothered me about it, particularly in the ending, was that sometimes you would go through something and you would have no idea whether you had missed something important that you would really need to get in order to get the ending you desired, or whether you had pulled something off successfully. Like in that ending, even though I got a good ending, they said the first 4 people that I sent out there failed. How was I supposed to know that I was in any way working towards a good ending if every single person that I was sending out there, they said, you know, Gorster has failed the mission? Well, you know, doesn't that just mean that, like, I need to just play it over and over and over again until they say, hey, he didn't fail? But if I had done that, if I hadn't just decided to keep moving on, I never would have finished the damn game. So I don't know. It's some pretty dubious design decisions there, if you ask me. Yeah, I don't know. It was fine. I'm kind of glad I played it, because it's always sort of been in the back of my mind as something I might want to try out sometime. So I'm glad I played it. Do I recommend it? If you're a really die-hard adventure game fan, and additionally you like science fiction of this nature, kind of like this sort of speculative what-if sort of fiction, then yeah, you know, you might enjoy it. You have to really, really, really like adventure games and really be able to get into this kind of story. So I think you need both of those tools under your belt in order to really get through this thing. But I think if you're not particularly into adventure games, or the premise just doesn't really captivate you, I'd say skip it. Just move on. Try something else. Try one of the old LucasArts games. Hell, I'd take a Sierra game over this, honestly. Like, I mean, definitely like King's Quest VI and the Gabriel Knight games. Like, as flawed as those are, way more satisfying than this, I think, overall. So, yeah, that's my spiel. It was okay. But I'm glad I played it, and I hope you all enjoyed watching it, anyone who did. And I'll be back on Monday with another exciting game. I'll have to put out another straw poll to determine what it is I play. I'm not sure what it'll be. Maybe it'll be This War of Mine, which came in second in the straw poll I put out last time. Or maybe it'll be Monkey Island, which came in third. But maybe I'll just say screw it and decide to take on something else entirely. Who knows? But yeah, that was I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. And I played it from beginning to end over 3 sessions, and it looks like it took me about, let's see, there's 3 hours in the first one, 5.5, 2.5 hours in the second one, so 5.5, and then 3 hours and 20 minutes here, so let's say 3.5, 9 hours. All right, so 9-hour long play of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Probably about an hour and a half of gameplay, honestly. Most of it was just me clicking around trying to figure out what to do next. But, yeah, that was that, and I'll see you on Monday. Thank you.